And we are live. We're 2 seconds into the program. Welcome, everybody. This is Paranormal Notebook, formerly known as Paranormal Now. And I want to believe, we've had 100 names because my co hosts keep changing, but we rebranded this year. We are now Paranormal Notebook. I'm Dan Holroyd of the Southern Michigan Paranormal out of Southwest Michigan, or known as SMP Investigations. Before we get to our guest, she's patiently waiting over there. Um, we would like to thank our sponsor of our network and a man who has believed in me and sponsored me for many years. That is Francois Moyer of Henderson Castle, hendersoncastle.com. It's an 1895 bed and breakfast located right here in downtown Kalamazoo, built by Frank and Mary Henderson. And next time you're here, book your stay. Come check it out. It's very active home. And, for those of you into the paranormal, right across the street is literally a cemetery. That is where Frank and Mary are buried. They were buried on a hill so that they could see their home in the afterlife. But I don't think they have to worry about that because I think I've shown that they visit, and I've had some run-ins with them over the years. We'd also like to thank Gun Barrel Coffee. It's damn good coffee. They're out of Batavia, Illinois, and it's 4-generation roasters. They're veterans, so portions of you buying online at gunbarrelcoffee.com go to help out numerous veteran, organizations, especially, some stuff about veteran suicide. So, and they got a coffee over there called Battleship, which when I did overnight shifts, I'm going to tell you that stuff could either take the paint off your fence or it would keep you awake for hours at a time. And tonight, I'm actually in my boo cup. I'm actually doing the chocolate milk thing. So we're ready to go. So we have a guest with us tonight. It's Rachel. Let's see if I can get this right. It's Fiorentino, right?
Nice. Good job. Yeah.
Okay. And I saw some stuff in her write-up about tarot and so many things to go over that it would take me probably 20 minutes to read your write-up.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you introduce yourself and how you got into this, and introduce yourself to our audience and tell them what you do.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on, Dan. I really appreciate this. So I'm Rachel Fiorentino. I've been a tarot reader for 30 years now. I started, I got my first deck at 16. Prior to that, I was just always fascinated by the occult and symbology and mythology and just all the fun things. I probably got that from Art Bell. I was always listening to him when I was just a wee little one. And so I think that's where my interest kind of got piqued there. And then, got my first deck at 16 and started reading professionally at 18 and have been going all over the place from there. In the 30 years that I've been reading, though, I've also became a nurse. I got a
Wow.
degree in nursing. I got a degree in business management. I also kind of decided that I felt like tarot needed a little bit more oomph in guidance. I think it's a great tool to use for anybody, but I felt like I needed a little bit more of like how to kind of get to where you want to be. So I went ahead and got certified in life coaching and law of attraction coaching as well. So I've been told no more education. No, I'm teasing. But
Because you never stop learning. Come on now.
no, no, never, never. So yeah, so now I'm able to use kind of like everything from the business management, the nursing, the life coaching, everything to be able to really utilize the cards on a whole different level now than I ever thought possible, which has been so much fun.
Yeah, that's how I met my second wife, my second and last wife. We were best friends. We've been together 37 plus years and married 27.
Oh,
And we started out as nurses assistants, and then I thought I was going to
oh.
take that step and become a registered nurse or LPN.
Hmm.
And we definitely changed careers over the years. We went off and did other things. So you're speaking my language,
Love it,
especially
love
when
it.
the whole COVID thing was hitting. We were the people in the background, like,
Hmm.
yeah, not so sure. We're nurses. We kind of know what's going on, but don't want to
Hmm.
get into all that. But as I
Yeah.
said, you learn a lot of things when you do that type of work. It was hard for me, I will tell you, because I became way too involved with my patients emotionally, and I was
Mhm.
very sad and emotional, when some of them passed away. And
Oh
I was
yeah.
able to handle it. She couldn't, but it was tough on me too. So I made a career change, Rachel, and I ended up in law enforcement and corporate security for
Oh
the rest of
wow.
my life. I sold cars for just a minute. I thought I'd try my hand at selling cars. It didn't work, but the paranormal thing has happened around me since I've been a small child. And
Yes.
did you have anything like that when you were younger that was, other than being fascinated, did you have any experiences?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I always wanted them to happen, and I was always looking for them to
Right.
happen. I did have one experience with the Ouija board, where me and a bunch of friends. This was, gosh, I'm trying to think of how old we were. We were probably in junior high school, where we made a Ouija board and was just playing with it, and um, it ended up connecting with this like young spirit, and um, and the young spirit seemed pretty scared, so we said to run, and then all of a sudden my arms went numb and
Oh
my
no.
body went numb. So we've learned never tell a spirit to run. That's a good rule to always know. But yeah, and then I probably slept for like 12 hours after that. So that's probably one of the weirdest things that have happened, as far as like when I was little. I've had a lot of experiences with, as a nurse, people transitioning and people
Sure.
passing,
Yep.
where, and I always tell people nurses are the most, um, oh, what am I trying to say now? Like we have all the little things that we need to do to prevent bad juju from happening. So we're always
You're
kind of,
prepared, right? You're always
yeah,
well
we're always
prepared.
prepared. Yes, exactly. So I've had a few things where it's like, you just know when people are going to be moving on. You just know when people are going to be transitioning, and sometimes you kind of, put them in a room that you think is going to be best to make sure that that happens. So that's happened a lot to me, where it's like I just know that they were gonna transition, so I'll set
Yeah,
them up for
yeah.
success for that.
I've interviewed quite a few nurses who, some have stories similar to what you're
Mhm.
saying, and it's always different across the board. And there are some who claim they've had some pretty odd
Mhm.
things that they've witnessed. And when my wife's mother passed away, we were there with her, and the nurse said, "You guys saw that too, right?" Because she saw us looking, and we watched
Mhm.
what looked to me to be a light mist travel from her mother up into the corner of the room, and
Mhm.
we knew she was gone. And that was a first for me. I had
Yeah.
seen other people pass away, working in that industry for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I never really experienced that. It just seemed like they were
Mhm.
always at peace and seemed like they were better, but that was new for me. So as
Yeah.
far as your tarot and the life coaching,
Mhm.
and how does that work hand in hand? Tell me how this works for you.
Yeah, so a lot of times I do like a past, present, and future spread. And
Hmm.
then I like being able to kind of use the future as, is this a way that we want to go? So yeah, I always kind of use the example of like, let's say I see something like, you might get fired, from your current job or something. And so we kind of can talk about it and say like, okay, something's really major with the job's going to happen. You might get fired, you might get laid off. Is that
Right.
what you want to do? And if that's, some people are like, yes, finally I get fired, I get laid off. And some people are very excited. I don't blame them sometimes, right? And so
Right.
in that case, you can just say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to change anything. If, for example, they don't want to get fired or lose their job, then I can throw some cards down in the present to see how do we change that from happening. It could be anything from like, the cards might say, well, find a new job now, so then that
Right.
way you can speed everything up. So that's where the life coaching comes in, is what do we need to do to fix that future, that is more in line with what you want versus what I'm just seeing. And that was kind of why I went into the life coaching, because I had some readings where they would just be like, "Oh yeah, that's happening for your future. Thanks, good luck." And I always felt like, well, there should be more happening with,
I still
or
see that go on. Yeah, it seems pretty
yeah,
dry
yeah,
to me. And you're
yeah.
right. I'm the guy who's a believer that there's always there are always alternatives in many different
Mhm.
directions. It's never just a quit game, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what do like you said, you give power back to the person by saying,
Mhm,
look, how do you want to fix this? Here's some alternatives. Let's take a look. So
mhm.
I applaud you on that, because I think too many people do get in a rut of
Yeah,
just thinking that this is it. What do I do if I lose this job? My daughter
yeah.
goes through it, and I'm trying to impart some wisdom as a 61-year-old that you have options. There are many places who will appreciate your talents more, but you're not going to know if you just stay at this one place that keeps abusing you,
Mhm,
and you're allowing them to do it. And I'm not going to name the place.
mhm.
It just has some big arches, we'll put it that way. And she was in line for some
Mhm.
management, and like you said, I think she would
Yeah,
do well to speak to somebody like you, who could point out all these alternatives and what do you want to do, where do you want to go.
yeah.
And I believe the only thing stopping any of us is us. I think we get in
Exactly.
our own way, right? Is that what you tell a
Yes,
lot of your people?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that seems to be the most common theme that I've got to tell people is like, get out of your own head, knock it off,
Yeah.
type of idea.
Yes, even
Sometimes
with
it,
love lives, right? You tell people
mhm,
stop drinking from the same well, and they're like, "What do you mean?" Like,
mhm.
you're continuing behavior that it's just going to keep repeating itself, right?
Exactly, exactly. Like, stop finding the same kind of person.
They do. I'm friends with a few people who might see this, and I used to tell them that it's like you just keep going after the same person. I don't.
Yeah, you
I,
haven't learned yet.
no, it's like if if your house was on fire, do you want to keep living in houses that keep getting set on fire? Is that what you
Yeah,
want to do? I guess do what you do, right?
yeah,
You go do
yeah.
you, I'll do me.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
But you don't
absolutely
have to be
crazy.
stuck. You do not have to be stuck.
You don't. Now,
Mm.
do you think the universe speaks to you through these when you're is this your higher self that's radiating through you when you're doing these cards?
Yeah, so I kind of say that the term I use, like higher self, universe, God, our subconscious, I kind of use
Right.
that all as the same,
Right.
the same terminology, or this but the same source. That
Yeah, it's different language, it's different word
Yeah,
usage, but right, right. It's all at the
yeah,
same
yeah.
stop sign, right. I get
Right,
it.
exactly, exactly. Like an atheist might want to be able to say, no, it's all me, and that's fine. It's all the same energy source. Yeah.
I find
So,
I find atheists funny, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
right, where the agnostic might want to be more of their higher self as well, but
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast. A good, I listened to Jim Harold a lot, and he had a
okay.
young man on there who's doing these podcasts. And I'd been telling people this for years. Maybe it'll resonate with what you just said.
Mhm.
Like the atheists or agnostic people, like they're the first to tell you, like, oh no, there's no God, there's no, but they are the first to believe in evil and hell. And you're just like,
Yeah,
no, wait a minute, you can't
that's
have
not how
this.
it works.
No, you can't have cookies and chocolate chips all at the same time. What are you doing? Right. I
Right.
find that funny. It's just,
It is. It
it's
is.
self-denial on such a level. But, I think as human beings, and maybe you find this with your tarot,
Mhm.
that sometimes, does that get in the way for you sometimes, that people can't see past themselves, that you're trying to get them to let the higher voice speak to them?
Yeah, yeah, I do see where and I think it goes back to, like, we do want control of our own life, and we
Right.
don't wanna
Right.
be a victim of it, and
No.
so, sometimes people think, like, letting go might be a form of that means I don't have control, and it's
Right.
like, well, yes and no, you just don't have to hold on to it so tight. I use the analogy a lot of times of, like, how do you hold sand in your hands? And the only way to really hold a lot of sand is you have to have it with palms out. Because if you try to have it with a closed fist, the sand just goes to the side. So if you
Right.
hold the sand with open hands and allow it to happen, you're going to get more answers that way than with a closed fist.
That's a good analogy. I
Hmm.
like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, please,
I,
please.
if you don't mind, yeah, I think I'll use
No,
that.
not at
I
all.
think it's better than the dog poop version of that. But that one works. That one works well with your kids, But the
That's
sand
true.
is good. You're right. You're absolutely
Mhm,
right. And if you're going to continually, you know, like you said, do this
mhm.
number and grab at things,
Yeah.
man, you make a lot of sense. And I
Yeah.
think with what you do, it sounds like it's a very healing process too to
Mhm.
anybody who's open to it,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And
And I really try hard to bring that in
right,
with the nursing thing, right? I think
right.
with being a nurse, I will always be a healer, I believe. And so what else can I do is by using the cards as that extension of healing as well.
Have you been told that you were, I guess a witch is a generic word, but that maybe that was a little bit in you when you were in a previous life, you were as a
Yeah.
healer.
Yeah, I
Really?
believe so
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
I
I
sense
have a
that about
feeling,
you. Right.
yeah,
Right.
I have a feeling I was probably because the witches were also like the midwives and
Yeah.
and
They were the
and all of
healers.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yep, I definitely feel like that was part of a past life.
Yeah. They got the bad rap, guys. You hear that? I mean, read any book.
Yeah,
Seriously. The
yeah,
people that were pointing out other people, they are the ones that were doing probably some of the worst evil, but it is what it is.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
what it is. The
yeah,
apothecaries and the healers all went to the side. And
mhm,
then where were we? You know,
yeah.
I
Well,
think
but
that's
you know, I mean, no offense, but like the males were supposed to have all that knowledge, not the women who could, help
now you're going to
guide a
find in
girl.
me, Rachel, you're going to find in me that I say that's nonsense because I'm a student of history, and history
Mhm,
will talk to you about many queens,
mhm.
many higher up women who, they were leading armies, they were in control. Um,
Yeah.
and for you're right, for a certain period of time, the whole male thing, somewhere
Mhm.
along the line that took over. And, but honestly, if you look through replete in history, with Cleopatra and I
Yeah.
could throw out names, through the Romans and the Greeks, and it's crazy how many
Mhm.
women of power, when they said something that, that's the way
They
it was going down.
and I just
And
heard a or I just listened to a podcast about, like, the greatest pirate that ever lived was a
it's a
woman.
female. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
who
love
knew,
that.
right?
I
Right,
love
right. I knew
that.
that a while back, but I thought, yeah, they're finally, and I'm looking for Disney or somebody. You did Jack Sparrow. I dig Johnny.
Right.
But I'm like, where she's. If you ever saw, what was it, Black Sails? She is. I think she's mentioned and portrayed in there, in just
Oh.
in a slight way,
Mhm.
and I think she deserves her own movie.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Right,
'Cause,
right.
yeah, she was pretty ruthless.
As a woman, yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. So women are very powerful. I admit
Mhm.
that on this show all the time. I was raised by my mother and oldest of four boys. And, she taught me to respect women and, for good
Great.
reason. She also instructed me in such a way that, um, as powerful creatures, and I say creatures with respect because men are creatures too,
Yeah.
that they can do anything a man can do, sometimes better, but not everything.
Mhm.
And I found out later on in life what she meant by that. And but I respect my wife and my daughters and women very in high tone. Your
Good.
insight, your intuition, especially in my paranormal groups and having them involved with me investigate the
Mhm.
paranormal. Um, some of the best team people I've ever had. You know,
Yeah.
you guys mature a lot faster than men. That's just the way it
Mhm.
is, you
Yeah.
know. But so you started off doing this. What
Mhm.
turned the corner for you by doing the card reading? Is there a moment that just, I mean, totally blew you out of the water?
So what I had always kind of gone back and forth between like trying to do like either nursing full time and no longer
Hmm.
doing the readings, or I would be
Right.
doing the readings full time and no longer doing the nursing. And I'd always get what I call like the cosmic 2x4, where I just get, slapped upside the head saying like you're doing it wrong. And the most recent was a couple of years ago. I was trying to go for neonatal nurse practitioner,
Oh
and
yeah.
ended up getting kicked out about 6 weeks before graduation.
What?
But I know, it's a thing. But I processed it. But I can look at it now and go, that was like the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because from there I realized I had to be both. And as a NNP, I wouldn't have been able to do both the reading and the nursing.
Right.
And so, in a sense, I'm very grateful that that happened to me. At the time, trust me, it was not as nice as I am now. Um, but yeah, I realized I wouldn't have been able to do both. And since I was like, fine, I am both. I am both a nurse and a tarot reader, and stop fighting the two sides and join them together. Since
Right.
then, my business has gone crazy. And it's just been so amazing. And like, I'm meeting so many more elevated people and more people that are trying to find themselves too, which has just been great. So I kind of look at that as that aha moment of like, stop trying to be one or the other. You can be both and enjoy both, and have them together and be who you are.
Wow. Good words of wisdom, everybody. Please,
Right.
please adhere to that and listen closely.
Right.
And I'm with you on the same thing. I for the longest time, I think I dwelled very heavily on the fact that I wanted to go into the service, and I only got to go in for a very short period of time, and I was not allowed to go forward due to medical issues with my eyes.
Yeah.
And but other things happened. So as we alluded to earlier on in the program, and as you just said yourself, that was probably one of the better things that happened to you. Sometimes, it's not all over, folks. And it certainly wasn't for me. I had many more adventures. They were good. There were some bad times. And I learned from those bad things, and they weren't repeated. And then I'm still going through stuff that I learned at 61 years old. I'm still learning. And
Mhm.
I wish I had somebody like you in my life at the time, but I learned along the way. And
Yeah.
you are speaking so much truth. But I really respect the fact that you're out here for people, and you're going forward to do the better good.
Mhm.
Because it sounds like you're very earnest and heartfelt about what you do, and as long as help others succeed and help somebody, that
Yeah.
makes your day, right?
Right, exactly, exactly. I think I've wanted to help people in any capacity that I could, but from a very small age. So it's just interesting how it's changed over the years into what it is now, which is
Right.
absolutely perfect. And I love it, because I think part of my goal in life too is to make tarot just as mainstream as anything else.
Right.
So, I mean, you're at that age too where you probably remember when meditation was really crazy or yoga
Yep.
was really crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and now it's like everybody should be doing these things. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to make tarot that way as well, where that everybody can just can utilize the cards at any point in their lives, and it can be mainstream, and it's not considered this like occultic side that only crazies get to. It can be
Yeah.
utilized by anybody.
And I'd love to have you on a roundtable show where we could talk about how all that started and why it started.
Mhm.
It's even the same with, like the demon stuff in paranormal. I tell everybody
Yeah.
it's like, if you're gonna go back and study the history of syntax, which is our spoken language, people assigned these types of words to these things they didn't understand,
Mhm.
or some things are created out of fear as a way of control being, you know keeping people in line with everybody else. And unfortunately, in what I work in and what you work in, some of that still goes on, and some people are still, I think, led, without realizing they're being led. You're bombarded
Mhm.
every day with social media and TV, and you know
Yeah. Yep.
commercials. I find commercials funny when they're funny and they're humorous. I don't take life so damn serious that
Yeah.
I can't laugh at things,
Yeah,
and with
absolutely.
the insanity that's going on, like you said, I wish more people were meditating and going through yoga. There'd be a lot less screaming and yelling at
I think
each
you're
other
right. I think
and
you're right.
reinventing the wheel.
Mhm.
I'm an old man, and I remember when we already overcame this stuff at the end of the 70s. So,
Yeah.
I can only
Yeah.
imagine what you're hearing, with people going through anxiety and,
Yeah.
you know, um, give me kind of an example, I guess, of what would be like one of the more extreme and I guess one of the less extreme type of things that you've read for.
Yeah, like just for an example, like I just had a uh, a client come in for the first time, and she had gotten many readings, but she was like they've all just been like more on the vaguer side of things, like just not quite resonating with her.
Right.
We ended up having this like 2-hour reading. Thank goodness I didn't have anybody booked after her, so we ended up doing the cards for 2 hours, and I mean, the cards were so specific, and it was kind of making me a little weirded out because of how specific, but it was like she was going to be a death doula. So, of like helping people transition out of this
Yeah.
world into, and she was like, it just like floored her with the idea of like, yeah, death's never bothered me. I'd love to be able to be there with people. And like she's a preschool teacher right now. So this will be a big change for her if she goes
Yeah,
down
that's a big
that
change. Yeah.
road.
I'm going to go
Um,
from teaching school to hospice. Yeah. Wow.
yeah, 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 right. That's not something to take lightly or,
No, no.
but I mean, like when I told her that though, and I saw like her just holding hands with people that are passing on and things like that, like you could just see her whole body just change as far as like this whole weight of the world has just been lifted off her shoulder. Like she now knows what she's doing in life. And I mean, she just loved this idea and she was so excited. But just the change of her coming in and 2 hours later, just her being so light as light as possible and just ready to conquer the world was just
That's good.
amazing. Yeah,
Wow.
I loved watching that. So you get those kind of readings, which of course like feeds my soul too. So I'm walking away thinking, oh yay, this was the best day ever. And then, I mean, but I also do get readings of people like, is is this guy the one? And I think that's kind of a little bit more
Well, I'm sure you get a lot of that. Yeah.
on the superficial side.
Is
Yeah.
he yeah, is she cheating on me? Is he cheating on me? I'm sure with
Yeah.
my sensitivity, I still get it from people. I'm like, that's not
Mhm.
how I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. That's not how this works.
I
It's not how
know.
this
I
works for
know.
me. Because I
Yeah.
can either talk to the dead, I let it happen when it happens, or there are
Mhm.
times I read off people.
Yeah.
And there's times sometimes I know when some people are lying and they're not being so truthful with me.
Yeah.
That has come in
Mhm.
handy. I
Yeah.
don't know if you go through that too. That's come in
Yes.
handy on
Yes.
occasion.
It's really helpful. It's very helpful. Yes.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
Um, so do you do like on a podcast like this or other shows that you've been on?
Mhm.
Do you do readings on the shows at all?
Yeah. 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 I have before. Yeah. Do you
Very
want a
cool.
reading?
I am interested. I'm interested to see what you might get off of me.
Let's do
I'm
it.
not going to lie. I'm very
Let's
curious.
Let's do it. Hey,
Didn't mean
we
to
got
put you
time.
on the spot.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
thought it'd be fun. We're trying to have some fun here, people.
Let's do it. Let's
All
do
right,
it. Hey, that's why I have the cards next to me just in case. You never know.
right. And I'm willing to
Uh,
take whatever happens. So
there we go. Yeah, you might have to, if I'm going down a road that you don't want to have the rest of the public know about, just do a little.
you know what? I'm an open book.
Perfect. That makes it easier.
Pages might be a little blood smeared. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm an open book.
Okay, so let me throw a bunch down here. So again, like I had said, I do a past, present, and future spread. And then I do 5 cards for each one to kind of get us where we're at here. Okay. So yes. So with the past, it's showing that You're actually quite an optimist, which I love. You've had some things, you've had those cosmic 2x4s upside the head type of idea, but it's the idea of in the morning you wake up going, all right, let's do this. I can't be mad for too long, or I can't stay sad for very long. We've got to get up and get moving again. So I like that. It also shows that you do have quite that intuition, and you can see things that others can't. And that also helps with being able to read people really well, is, also a great gift. It shows, like, in the past, I will admit that it shows that emperor, which is the emperor I like to call like that adolescent boy. So it's that idea of like trying to find yourself in kind of more of the superficial ways of boys kind of idea. So, but again, you've been able to move past that. It was more of like, yes, this is fun and games, that type of thing. But then we're able to move past that. It does show that you've been like uprooted many times in your life too, not necessarily on your own accord, which has caused some anxiety from time to time. Just the idea of like you don't like to be kind of uprooted so quickly, or
Nope.
of like you need a lot of time to adjust to not adjust to changes, but like more of like moving homes, that type of idea. And so that also tells me that your home is really kind of your castle, kind of that idea of like you have to have this safe place for you to go. You can go out and do whatever you need to, but you have to come home to a nice, safe place. So right now it's showing. So we've got like the eight of swords, which so it's kind of showing that too many people are trying to offer you advice,
Yep.
and it's making it very complicated on who to listen to. Now, I think you already know that your next steps that you have to do, though, really pertain to um, like overcoming some fears, that you've got to be able to overcome some fears. And one of those fears, though, it looks like that fear of success, which is kind of interesting. Um, so, uh, so we got to really block out all of that advice that people are telling you, because you already know, except for your wife, of course, right? You have to listen to her.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't, I'm not blocking that out. That already happened tonight. Yeah.
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 So, but yeah, you have to block out those voices, because it's almost like you already know your path. You already know what you're doing, and you know how to get there. It's just a matter of the other advice and the other, voices that kind of come at you kind of make things a little bit more blurry and a little bit more like you start questioning yourself. But
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
all of those voices are gone, you're sitting there probably, if you're like alone at night, in bed, just relaxing, you have all the answers. You know exactly your next steps. But what is interesting though is that is that kind of being a little um, looking at success as being something um, to kind of like fear and to kind of push out a little bit. So one thing to be able to do that though is that um, success comes in so many different forms. So it's like right now, like, am I in $1 million home? No, but I feel so successful at what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And it
Right.
doesn't matter. So it's kind of that, yeah, like we need to start naming exactly what your success is. One, I think to actually see it and appreciate it, and to realize how far you've come too. But you've got the universe card, which is kind of that, ultimate happiness, ultimate success. It's like the world is in the palm of your hand. So know that you can use that any way that you can, or any way that you want to. So it's just a matter of being able to decide what you want to. What's also interesting is that it looks like we're going to be starting a new project too. Have you been thinking about other projects that we're going to be jumping into?
Yeah, you are incredibly right on. So especially with the success thing, I'll back up just a bit and then we'll talk about the new project. So
Yeah.
I do fear that in such a way that there's some things, not to put out everything, in my life here, but a lot of people out here know me. There's some things in my past that I'd be worried that the haters are going to try to gang up or beat up on me about. And you know what? I've overcome that. That's fine. Um, so that does still bother me, that where am I going to be? Am I going to be okay? I know I'm not going to change as a person. Even let's say I were, like you said, if I were to come into money, I've been asked that by my wife and other people. It's like I have a list of things I'm going to do, but it's not going to change who I am at my heart
Mhm.
or my person. I've never,
Right.
so I'm still struggling with that idea
Mhm.
because I feel confident as you outlined, like I know what I'm doing. I feel confident about what I'm doing, but I still am always looking for that confirmation of my integrity and some other things attached to what I do, to have people really trust me, to gain people's trust even more so to say,
Mhm.
I'm not out here with any ulterior motives. And I say that on the show all the time, other than to give the dead a voice and to continue to help the living too. And if I can build a bridge, that's all I'm doing.
Mhm.
I'm fascinated by this. I have a lot of fun at it. I will never say I don't. Um, as far as new project, yes, Ghostorama, May 11th. Uh, Shameless plug.
Yeah,
And I
I
told
love
Rachel she's going to do the same thing too. So
it.
hey guys, she hit on it. So I'm going to talk about it.
Do
So
it.
Ghostorama is coming up May 11th at the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it's a thing I put together. It's trying to bring paranormal groups together in unity. So it's free to paranormal groups. It's a paranormal meet and greet, and people from the public. It's free. This one, I think it's five to get in because it is a historic site, and we're trying to raise some money for the site. That's the other part of the mission. But it's a way to bring people together in the community to see what we're doing out here rather than TV. Now, some of the people we have involved do YouTube, they do TV. Keith Agent's going to be there from Sci-Fi, and onward, upward, including me, little old me. But I've had those moments too. We were on some of the internet's first TV programs back in the day. So um, there's that. And then the second one is at a location here in Michigan. And as you hit on, the third one that we're really trying to put together is going to be at my Masonic Lodge.
Ooh.
Um, I am a Mason. I don't know. I tell some of the audience that, but I'm a third degree Mason, a chaplain and steward here at my Mason in Mattawan, Michigan. And we already filmed a segment there last year, and it has activity because I'd be in there at night cleaning, and I'd hear people opening doors and walking around upstairs. And I saw in front of me a camera get pushed off one of the pedestals that we use in our temple room. And so we're in September, we're going to put together a ghostorama in Mattawan. So you're right. There's some decisions and things to be talked about and things to put together. People like I did get Michelle Freed out to the one at the House of David, Eden Springs, and she did a great remote viewing exercise. And we actually tricked her. I tried to trick her, and we went to a different location, and she called me, and I was supposed to tell her son where we were. So they knew, but people had to guess, and I wouldn't tell them where we were. So it was quite funny. But half the group got it right,
Mhm.
and there were two people who knew. There's no way they would know we were where we were at. They drew where we were at, the bushes, the railroad trestle, everything. It was amazing. So she's good at what she does. But
Yeah.
thank you for doing that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you hit on a lot of stuff, and
Good.
you're right. We moved a lot when I was a kid, and I don't hold that against my mom. God rest her
Mhm.
soul. And it was just staying with family, and it taught me some things. And I think you were very correct. I'm a guy who can go out, and I could go out and camp and be by myself and do my things and comfortable being in my own space. But at the same time, I have to have like my house. I got
Mhm.
to have my thing to come to
Mhm.
and this is my damn place.
Hmm.
And I'm struggling with that right now. And I'm not going to share that on here, but with the situation, and it's like, this is my place, you know.
Hmm.
But wow,
Yeah.
how would you know?
Yeah.
You're good at what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I can say I just stalked you on Facebook or something.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah.
could, but you're not going to find out all that. There's a lot on there you can find out. Hey, everybody, we're for those of you listening to the audio presentation of this, we're going to take our first break right here. I've got Rachel Fiorentino with us, and we're going to do some more fun stuff and just talk and shoot the poop, as it were. And I'm going to remind you again of our sponsor of this program. Go to www.unrestrictedparanormal.com, and our sponsor is Henderson Castle. HendersonCastle.com. It's an 1895 bed and breakfast in downtown Kalamazoo, built by Frank and Mary Henderson of the Henderson Ames Corporation. What Frank's company used to do is they produced regalia for military, Masons, Oddfellows, Knight Templar, militaries across the world. And there's a connection of a Spanish American war hero. And if you go there once a month, or if you look on their event page, okay, once a month, you can do a haunted dinner tour hosted by yours truly. I host those, been doing them for, almost 9 years now. Been working the castle for 17. I grew up 2 blocks from that place, and it's quite active in a positive way. So thank you to them. Thank you to Gun Barrel Coffee, gunbarrelcoffee.com. I'd also like to mention the organization Till Valhalla. Please go over there, give them a look, buy a t-shirt, get a bracelet. 22 a day, 22 veterans a day we're losing to suicide. It's ridiculous. They try to make a difference. They're also helping out financially with families with funeral costs, also presenting families with flags and plaques. You will help. You'll help bring those numbers down. So, okay, everybody, we'll be back for more right after these messages and some music. And those of you watching noticed we didn't go anywhere. It's just me moving my head around. So, welcome back to Paranormal Notebook. I've got Rachel Fiorentino with us, and she did a reading on me, and spectacular. And I wasn't sure what to expect or what she was going to get, and she did. You did a great job. I'm
Thank
very
you.
pleased. Even if it was negative, I would have been like, yeah, that's right,
Hmm.
that is true.
Hmm.
But so you continue forward with this. Are there any projects that you have going, or any like events that you're going to be at?
Well, I've got a lot of projects going on right now, so
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
I know. So I'm working on a couple of different decks that I'm doing. I know I'm like, do I dare give away all my fun things that I'm doing
Yeah.
with
Don't
these
give away all
with
your
these?
secrets.
I know, right?
Just teasers.
Let's just say I'm finally combining all of my loves into a tarot deck. So I'm very excited about it. It's like, yeah. And then, yeah, so there's a couple of different decks that I'm working on trying to do that. I'm doing a lot of classes right now. So a lot of like live Zoom classes, which I love because I love being able to bring more and more of this again into the mainstream. Like let's have everybody read for each other. So then that way
Right.
we can all just do a one card reading for each other at any time, right? And then I'm working on a book as well. It's going very slowly, but I am working on a book. So which has a lot to do with our like I should just back up a second. So are you familiar with like the hero's journey when it comes to the tarot cards?
A little bit.
Or
Yes.
a little, yeah. So I'm working on a book that's about like the hero's journey, and kind of like each chapter is a card that talks about like the whole like call to adventure and all that. So, which is always fun. And then I do a lot of like master classes where I teach about about the similarities of the major arcana cards and Star Wars, which everybody seems to love that one.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. I got a lot of
Mhm.
friends who are into that. I'm a Trek guy, so we're always
Oh, yes, yes.
ribbing the heck out of each other. Like I'll see stormtroopers say, "Hey, man, I loved you guys in Star Trek," that kind of thing. I do have to ask you, have you been asked to use this talent to speak to the other side? Have you ever been
They
asked to do that?
yeah, they do creep in. They do creep in.
Yeah,
I say that that's not necessarily my forte, but boy, when they creep in, they kind of demand attention at times.
they do.
So
I could tell you that. Yes, they do. They want to be heard. They're going to let you know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I kind of say that that door is always open, and sometimes yeah, sometimes they creep in to say hi and give some really great messages that I could never do on my own. So I'm glad that they do it.
Yeah, yeah. I would be interested to have you along on an investigation and
Oh yeah.
maybe coincide some cards with the ghost box that we use,
Ooh.
which is it's like anything, it's a tool.
Mhm.
And we sometimes we get some incredible messages, not like full sentences or anything of that nature. Um, but I would be interested just to run some experiments because I do a lot of that in some of the work that we do is um, I have a buddy in my team. He's an engineer and he's taken about 7 of our devices and put it on on one board. He's built this thing, including you're going to love this because you're a nurse. It's a nurse call button that's on there, and he leaves it in a room and he says if you can touch this button and depress it, the help button. We've had it in places where we go back and check the analytics on the laptop, and at a certain point in time, we're watching it on camera. You don't see anything, but somebody pushed that button,
Mhm.
and it shows up on there. It's undeniable,
Yeah.
and I'd be interested. I think
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah, I
interested
would
to
love
see
to.
because what you're doing. I think it alludes itself to being opening a door, just like when you did the
Mhm.
Ouija board when you were younger. That's
Yeah.
all you're doing. That's all we do when we
Yeah.
do EVPs is we're just asking someone to open a door, come through, and communicate.
Mhm.
I think they give too much bad things attention to the Ouija board because hell, you could make one out of a pizza box if you wanted,
Yeah.
and a marker. You can make
Yeah.
one yourself,
Right,
and
right.
you're doing the same thing. And I think
Mhm.
with the cards, I wonder too, as you said, they creep in.
Mhm.
Um, do you have protection prayers, or are there certain things that you can do to keep yourself safe?
Yeah, I use a lot of, like, imagery when it comes to, like, fabrics is kind of my best way of kind of explaining it, is that so, like, in a in a very, like, unknown place where I don't wanna maybe share my energy or I don't want them to have or give me their energy, I'll just
Right,
kind of imagine that have, like, this, like, cloak of, like, really, like, wool or very, like, thick fabric kind of idea. So I just kind of imagine putting that on.
that
And then
works.
there's
Yeah,
ti yeah, and then there's times like when I'm doing readings for people, I need to have a little bit more openness between the 2. So I still kind of imagine that I put kind of more sheer fabric on. So the connection's there, but when the cards are done, I don't have to kind of continuously think about what's going on in your life afterwards. I can get back to mine. I ran into a few of those things, early on in my career where like I wasn't shielding myself very well.
right,
And and some pretty like it was basically like a woman that desperately wanted a baby, but she wouldn't do the things that she needed to get one or to carry one. She would still work like 80 hours a week and things like that. And still to this day, it still like kind of haunts me because I don't think I didn't shield. So it's still with me as it was like the day it happened.
right.
And then also as a human being going I see you want something, but you won't get out of your way to do it.
Yep.
And so yeah, so it really hurt my heart. So that's when I've like, oh yeah, we have to protect ourselves with this. So yeah. And yeah, that always kind of helps with those different energies because I feel like I really feel those energies pretty easily.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody, I want everybody to hold that note. Hold on just a second. My dog is making a weird noise outside my door. So unscripted. So everybody hang on just a second. Well, there's nothing like live entertainment. Okay, thanks
Where's,
everybody for being patient.
where's
And
the
there's no
baby?
way for me to exit that out. She got her, I don't know what she's doing. She got her foot wrapped up around a leash that we have down here. She's not on the leash. We had it not, I don't know.
Yeah.
My wife's not hearing a thing. She must be in bed. I'm like, what is that noise? Poor dog. So now I forgot my total train of thought was out the window.
No, but we're
Oh, good. So Rachel took time out of her busy schedule. Where are you located, by the way?
in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado.
Hmm.
I've been through there. I've
It's
been through there.
beautiful. It's
It
beautiful
is.
here.
It is.
Yeah.
We I think we burned up the brakes on our van coming out of there headed west. Yeah, we were going west. We were going to the 2016 Ghostbuster premiere. And we were
Oh,
in a big
fun.
conversion van with a trailer, and we were like, and we were in Denver, and we were coming down out of some of those hills. Well, they're
Those
not
mountains,
hills; they're
yeah.
mountains. Yeah, they're
I know.
mountains.
We call them hills. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It is a pretty place, very pretty place. And
Yeah.
now, are you from there?
No, actually, originally from Hawaii, but I've been here since I was 9. So I kind of, I might as well be a native here. But yeah, but originally
From
from Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Hmm.
Wow. So you were in
Yeah.
both very unique places. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how's your weather there?
Oh, well, today it was like 50 degrees. So it's been beautiful here. I know.
Not here. Yeah,
No,
it
I
was
know.
50 degrees 2 days ago. It was 60 degrees, and then I was out working in that weather. Oh my God, it was
Oh,
terrible. And then we had
oh,
thunderstorms and tornadoes. Crazy
oh,
business.
yeah. No, one thing that's great about Colorado is that it snows in the morning and then it'll be all melted off later. It's all good.
Yeah, that's how it was in Tucson when I lived there. It'd come down out of Mount Lemon,
Mm.
80
Oh yeah,
degrees
yeah,
would melt. You'd have it about an hour, but it was the
yeah,
weirdest looking thing in the desert with snow. So strange
yeah,
looking.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're in Denver. So you're
Mhm.
working on the book. You're getting ready to put together
Yeah.
some things. Are you appearing anywhere anytime soon? Like any
Not
conventions?
not right now. Not right now. I've kind of been doing more of like the podcasts and kind
Right.
of sticking closer to home right now so I can try to get some things done.
Well, before you know it, you'll end up over there with George and Nori, right? Is that where you're intending to go?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Well, it can happen.
It
I've had
can.
listen, Michelle has had many people on with me on this podcast. Next thing I know, I
Mhm.
hear him on George and Nori's show. So
Oh, that'd be
we
fun.
must a few of us that you're going to, we must be the stepping stones, which is nice. It sets you up. George has got
Mhm.
a different style. He goes through the prepared questions, that type
Mhm.
of thing. I like to just get to know a person like we're doing here, one on one. We keep it loose, but
Yeah.
I had an opportunity. I told Michelle this when Art was live and Tom Danheiser, was doing their stuff. And they asked me to be a guest. And what you alluded to is in the reading back in that day, I didn't think that I had enough to talk about. And
And that's
man,
funny.
I could kick myself. I should have. I missed that opportunity. I've thought
Oh,
about
bummer.
reapplying, like maybe I can go back out there because I'm still actively
Mhm.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
I've done 311 investigations since 2008 with my
Wow.
team and myself, and we're still doing some new stuff, which is pretty unique. We're doing a new project, which I wish I could. I wish we were closer. I'd bring you along.
Ah,
Where we're doing
might
a
have to
bunch
take a
of
road trip.
yeah, we're doing a bunch of historic theaters all throughout Michigan.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've already had an
that would be
experience with
so
one
fun.
that I didn't believe. I went in there and I said, nonsense. It doesn't happen, because sometimes I'm the
Mhm.
skeptic, but when I hear some stories, I'm like, whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it. And
yeah.
boy, did I have some stuff happen that I'm like, what in the hell's going on in this theater? So, pretty
Oh, fun.
unique. Yeah,
Have you
it
have
was
you
very
done
good.
any of those, any of the paranormal investigations in Colorado here? We've got a lot out here.
I'd love to come out there, especially a lot of the
Mhm.
old Spanish sites.
Oh,
Um, I remember coming down through parts of Colorado where it still holds in the vision of my mind's eye to this day, where we were just coming out of Rincon, New Mexico,
mhm,
heading into Colorado, and we were coming down the steep grade, this mountainous area. And I
mhm.
looked to my left, and it's just like you see in a postcard. It was an old Spanish mission, ruins of an old Spanish mission off the side of the highway. And, the sun was just coming up, and I thought, oh my God, it's a postcard. Had
Mm,
I had the time to stop, we would have stopped then and there, but, we
yeah.
were on a mission. Um, so you're doing the rounds, you're doing the
Mhm.
podcast, you took your time out to be here with me, and you've been patient. I see a Volkswagen behind you
Yes,
on the wall.
that's for my hippie heart.
I had a 69
Don't
Volkswagen
tease.
bus.
Don't
No, I'm
tease.
not teasing. I loved it. And
Oh,
Tucson, I actually dressed it up and camped in it, and it was
oh,
my everyday driver. And I tell
oh,
you, if I could find one in Michigan that wasn't rusted out, I'd love it. But
yeah.
I adored every minute of it because on the 69, it had the doors that open like that on the side.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
good
have the
what
pop up part. It wasn't the camper, but
yeah.
I'd never forget sitting there and driving that thing and the horn,
Oh,
meep meep.
oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
I
I haven't
know.
owned one. I haven't
I
owned
bought
one
it at a
yet.
swap meet, Rachel. I bought it at a swap meet for
Ah,
$400.
no.
Best car I think I've ever owned in my life.
Did you have a working heater?
Yeah,
I wow. Most of those,
and the
it
air,
seems like they
the
were
air was just rolled down the windows, but the heat worked in it.
yeah. Oh,
And
good. Oh,
we
good.
used to take it up to Mount Lemmon. I mean, that thing would climb the mountains like it was nothing. It was a workhorse.
Oh, so
Yeah,
jealous. So jealous.
yeah. It was just red, and it was all sun
Oh,
bleached from
red.
Tucson. Just
Ah.
faded. Yeah, all the original glass was in it, and I sold it for I think about 2,000. And it was to a biker guy in Tucson there, and he kept it all original. He just
Wow.
kept it patinaed, and how
Oh,
the bikers talk. He's like, "Yeah, me and my old lady are gonna go camping in it," and that's what he
oh,
did. How
oh,
cool was
oh,
that?
oh. That's my dream car, so I'm so jealous. I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
jealous.
I'm sorry. They're hard to find. They're hard to find in
They are.
Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they're hard to find a good one and a working one in general. So yeah.
Oh yeah, especially out in Denver. You'd think, but you
Mhm.
guys still get all that snow and water just like we do. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is what it is.
yeah.
So you're working on the book. You
Yes.
got some other things going. Where can people find you?
Yeah, they can find me on my website or on social media at Tarot Readings by Rachel. And yeah, it has all the stuff about like classes that you can find. And there's a blog there that talks a lot about like, what questions to ask. I know a lot of people, don't know what questions that they can ask. And so I try to just be so open. If you haven't realized this by now, but I say that there's no rules when it comes to tarot. So everything is open. And if you don't ask, questions about it or questions on your life, then how are you going to know?
Right.
So there's a lot of fun stuff on the blog, a lot of fun stuff on social media, trying to get TikTok going. we'll see how that goes. I'm not that savvy with all the technology, so I'm
Oh, you
trying,
can do
but
TikTok. Come on, Rachel. I'm on TikTok. I'm much older than you, and I'm having fun. I watch more of the comedy stuff on there. And
yeah.
a friend said, "Don't do it, man, because you're going to go right down the rabbit hole." And I'm in the rabbit
Mhm.
hole. I
Yeah,
guarantee you, when I'm done doing this tonight, I'm going to go up there and sit, and I'll be on TikTok.
yeah,
Watching TikToks. Because
yeah.
there's some very
It was
interesting,
fun.
some funny things. Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
connected with friends on there too. So I'll
Mhm.
look for you if you got one out there. I'll look for
Yeah,
you. I'll
it's
friend you on
there.
there. You'll
Yeah.
see some of the wacky things I do. Um,
Yeah, see, now I've
between
got a
Ghostbusters and other stuff that I do. But it's been just a pleasure to talk to you and have you on. You got a great smile, great
thank
personality,
you, thank
and I believe in you. You know,
you.
I'm not going to say I was putting you to the test, but I didn't know what to expect, and you did great. You did
Oh, good,
absolutely.
oh, good.
You
Yeah,
did really
thank you.
good.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm
Michelle's
glad.
going to ask her how was she. I'm going to tell her she is awesome. Up until the part where I had to go rescue my dog, everything was good. Everything was good on the show. See,
Yeah,
I try to keep some comedy on here. I
you
really
have to.
do.
You have to.
Um, is there anybody famous that you've read for before we go real quick?
I will say I've read for a lot of, like, Colorado famous,
Yeah.
so, but not necessarily like, international or worldly
No
famous.
Broncos. None of the
Yeah, so
Broncos.
I've done, actually a few of the Broncos'
Oh,
wives. Yeah.
oh, cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, so, of course, everybody around here knows who they are, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
we don't
that's
want to
always
be
been
thrown
fun.
out. Yeah, we don't want to
Yeah.
be having beat you down. So tell everybody again where they can find you.
Yes, it's, tarotreadingsbyrachel.com, and social media, all the good stuff, same thing, Tarot Readings by Rachel. And I wanted to offer a discount too for any of the listeners that, so if you type in unrestricted into the website, that'll give you a 20% discount for a reading.
Wow, look at that,
Mhm.
guys. Unrestricted, not the reading,
Unrestricted.
just a discount. So thank you. That's very nice. Yeah, we've been banging away at that for a while. And my old partner from Live Radio One, she's talking about throwing her hat back in the ring. So we're going to be back on Live Radio One, which we used to do for years on live stream. And when they started charging everybody a fortune, we were like, "Yeah, okay, bye."
Mhm,
We grandfathered so many of these people's in, like Blog Talk and live stream. And once they caught on that people wanted to do this, they started charging you, a lot of money.
mhm.
But thank you for that. That's very nice. So
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
you got the code unrestricted 20%.
Mhm.
Come on. You don't even get that at the frickin' shoe store. You like to buy shoes. Don't people, I want people out here. Don't lie to me. I know you do. I'm a guy, I buy shoes like and watches. I'm a watchaholic. I told myself I had to go digital. Oh, where's my hand there? I had to go digital this year. Everybody was wearing them around me, and I'm like, yeah, what's weird about it is it's connected to my phone, and I take
Mhm.
calls on it like Dick Tracy. It's kind of
I
fun.
know, I know. I always
I
feel
I
like a spy.
I did have to ask you one thing.
Uh-oh.
I always save like a personal thing towards the end of the
Mhm,
shows. So I saw your photo, and you
mhm.
have a tattoo,
Yes.
and I was going to ask because I've got
Mhm,
one. There's a
mhm.
significance to mine. What does that represent? What's the significance to that tattoo? Do you mind sharing
Yeah.
that with us?
Yes, absolutely, and I hope I don't make you cry because it's a pretty, meaningful tattoo for me. So, it's an elephant,
Yep.
and so elephants are the only animals in the wild that if the female, can't reproduce, they become a nanny elephant and help take care of the herd. And, so I was not able to have any children of my own through this body, so I became a nanny elephant and I helped take care of the herd. So that's my
Wow.
yeah, that's
Wow.
my goal
That
and
is
my
that is
mission.
special. How did you know I
Mhm.
was see, it's like you sensed that I was emotional. I just had to talk with somebody about that. So after my brain surgery, I told her, "Well, I'm crying at coffee commercials for the crying out loud." So, Yeah, that's pretty damn special.
Yeah, so
That's
it's pretty
you
meaningful.
did grab my
Mhm.
heartstrings with that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Um, and I got the Celtic triad on mine.
Mhm.
We didn't find out till recently that I was Irish. I did it because I felt, excuse me, that I felt that it symbolized a little bit about my personality and where I was in life, and trying to keep it together through all that struggle. And then I put
Mhm.
SMP, SMP on the inside of it with a little bit of slime just to have some fun. And but we found out, my wife did a 23andMe and found out that I'm Irish. I'm not British like we thought.
Oh,
The English side of my family is from Yorkshire, and that makes sense
wow.
because we found out that I'm 89% Dane, Dane and Irish, and makes a ton of sense. Vikings and
Mhm,
Irish sacking York, and going on
mhm.
from there.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
mine
so
has,
neat.
yeah, mine has some meaning, and I wanted to get a bulldog. I'm still going to do it on the other arm, and then on the collar, because my nickname is Big Dog. I'm going to have the birthstone of all my kids in the collar, and I wanted to somehow maybe do a dog tag, and then I'm going to have the names of all my grandkids on the dog tag. Because
I love that. I
unlike
love
your,
that.
yeah, unlike your story too, I could have went that route too, the way it was going, and I would like to share that I'm blessed that I was able to raise 4 kids and 5 grandkids later, and I don't think there's any joy in the world that I think I could think of out of some of the bad stuff you talked about I went through in my life of being called Papa,
Mhm.
that you're a grandpa,
Oh.
but you don't have to be maternal. I got 2 of
Mhm,
my kids, or I'm not biologically their
mhm,
dad, but I love them nonetheless more than
mhm.
anything
The
than life
bonus
itself.
kids.
And
Mhm,
like you, I reach out with others and I bring them into the fold too. I got big arms.
mhm. Mhm. Exactly,
And I,
exactly.
I love that you do that. I love that
Mhm,
you look after the herd. So you can
mhm.
consider me part of your herd, Rachel.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank
No
you.
worries. Thank you for being on. Everybody, this has been Paranormal Notebook, and we had a great show. Rachel Fiorentino, she told you where you can find her. I will have some information up on our webpage and our YouTube page. It's not our webpage; it's our Facebook page. I get those confused. And you can find her, and we're going to ask her to come back in probably a
Oh,
month or so and see where she's at. And I would love to try to maybe get
mm,
together with you and maybe have you on live at one of the Ghostoramas,
that would be so fun. I
and
would love
we
this.
could hook it up to where people could kind of pay you
Mhm.
somehow, and then have you do readings while you're doing this live.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be
Oh,
so much fun.
like you said, I'm the optimist. I never like to hear that we can't do something. I want to know why we're not doing it.
Mhm.
That's my point of
Oh,
view.
I
You've
love it.
been
I
great.
love it.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
on the show.
you. Thank you. It's been
And
wonderful.
everybody, thank you for joining us as always. And here's my final message on every show: it does not cost you or me anything out of our pocket to be kind and to be nice to one another. Now, I know where I stand. I know I've got my beliefs, you got your beliefs. We may not get along in a lot of things that we think of, but that does not mean I can't hold the door for you. I can't wish you a good day, and vice versa. All right. All we got to do is try to get along. All we have to do is get along. Okay. So you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Be safe. No drinking and driving, please. You can drink, just don't drive. Okay. I'm just, if it's a golf cart, maybe a couple laps around the yard. All right. I love each and one of you. God bless. God loves you. I do. And we will see you soon.